Alexandra TV is all about female empowerment. It's all about teaching you how to empower yourself. And if there's one thing that I've learned over the years is that the only real way to be empowered as a woman, the only real way to love yourself, to be confident, is through the understanding of who you really are, of knowing thyself, of knowing your power. So in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you the magical beauty of your feminine cycles, how to understand them, and how to use that power to your advantage. Welcome to the ultimate guide to your feminine cycles, to the magical power of feminine cycles. Now, what exactly are feminine cycles? Why is it important to understand them? Why is it important to align with them? That is something that I started to understand and to study over a decade ago, really. I remember I was 23 years old, 22, 23 years old. And it all started actually because I realized that every single month I wanted, at a specific time of the month, I wanted to break up with the boyfriend I had at the time. So I remember I was 23, I was in a relationship, everything was going well, but at a specific time of the month, I just wanted to leave him. I just wanted the relationship to be over. I wanted to break up and I just wanted to leave. And of course, logically, I started to think and I said, oh, it's because it's that time of the month. They call it the PMS syndrome. So I started to be like, okay, it's probably just that. But then as time was passing and every single month going through this cycle of just being happy and then not being happy, I started to say, is this really how it should be? Or is there something that I don't understand? Like, why am I going through this? What are all these things that I'm feeling and how can I change this? Now, the first thing that I did at the time, and I highly recommend that you do the same, but of course I am not a doctor, so I cannot tell you do that, right? You should go and consult your doctor first. But for me at the time, one of the best decisions I've ever taken in my life was to stop taking the pill, the contraceptive pill, But in order for you to stop taking the contraceptive pill, if you are in a relationship with someone, well, you need to figure out and understand your cycle. And here's the thing that most women were not taught, especially young women. I think that nowadays it's starting to get a little more open. People are starting to talk more about that. But the reality is that you can't just get pregnant randomly at any time of the month. And I remember for me, when I was a teenager and I got on the pill, I think when I was 16 years old, I thought that I had to be on the pill because I could get pregnant at any day of the month. But that's not how the body works, right? There's a cycle that we go through every 28 days. And there's specific days of the month where you can get pregnant, and there's others where, of course, you cannot get pregnant, right? And once you start to understand this, well, you no longer need to be on the pill, right? You no longer need that because the pill, at the end of the day, it just alters your hormones and it's just not good for your body. And there's more and more research now that is showing all the negative side effects to that. So the first thing that I did was to stop taking the pill. The second thing that I did was to understand the monthly cycle that I was going through every 28 days. How every 28 days we go through the same cycle. And this cycle is like going through the 4 seasons of the year all at once, right? The way that I like to put it is when you're on your menstruation, so that's when day 1 starts, right? So the first few days it's your menstruation. That's like winter, right? That's like being in winter. You want to be inside, you want to be warm, you're tired, you don't feel like going out. That's how it feels. Then after winter comes spring. That's right before ovulation. Now, right before ovulation, that's when you start to kind of feel better, right? You're done with your period. So you start to feel better, you're feeling good, you're starting to be like, okay, I want to go out, I want to see people, I want to do all these things. Then comes ovulation phase. Let me interrupt this episode for a second because I have something very, very important to share with you. We have our exclusive masterclass, The Art of Womanhood and the Science of Having It All, coming up real soon. Now, what's very, very exciting about this masterclass is that it's completely free. All you need to do is sign up, leave your name and email address. The link is in the description below this video. It will also appear on the screen. During this free masterclass, which doesn't happen often, it really happens once in a blue moon that I do it live, I will be sharing with you how you can master the art of womanhood and the science of having it all, meaning that you will find the balance between your feminine and masculine. We all have these two energies within us, and I think that especially nowadays, it's very difficult to find that balance. But once you do, once you understand the secrets to becoming really the alchemist of your life, everything changes and you become a magnet to all the things that you desire and all the things that you dream of. So don't forget to go sign up now. Spots are limited, so you don't want to miss it. Now, back to the episode. Now, what's very interesting and a lot of people don't know is that from day 1 of your cycle, of your menstrual cycle, it's on day 13 that you're ovulating. So calculate, whenever you have your period, day 1 is when you are menstruating, right? So that's day 1, and 13 days after, that's when you're ovulating. And during those 3 to 5 days around that day, you can get pregnant. Any other day of the month, you cannot get pregnant, right? That's just how the body works, right? But you have to be careful. It's around 5 days between that in between before and after that 13th day. So ovulation phase is really like the summer, right? It's like you want to go out, you feel good, you look better. There's more and more research now that is actually showing how, as women, if you take pictures of your face at every time of the month, at every day of the month, you look better during ovulation. You look more, your skin is brighter, you look more beautiful, you're less bloated, you just feel better too. And there's even a lot of, I don't know if we can even call it research, right? But they've done some investigations, right? Where apparently there's a lot of evidence that shows that men are more attracted to women when they are in their ovulation phase, right? So when a woman is ovulating, she is more attractive because she is sending out these pheromones, right? So it's like the animal kingdom, right? When a female is in heat, then the male, they know it, right? So they want to go to that female, they want to impregnate her. And it's the same thing for women. You're just more attractive because you're in your ovulation phase. So ovulation phase, the best way to put it is summer. Right? It's summer, it's warm, it's hot, you want to dress nice, you want to go out, you want to see people, you're feeling good, you're looking better. And then right after ovulation comes fall, autumn, right? So autumn is like the preparation for the winter, right? The winter that is to come, the cold days. So you're kind of preparing. I always say, in a few moments, I'm going to share with you what you should do at every phase of the month. But I always say that during fall of your monthly cycle, you should take the time to prepare for menstruation, right? So maybe prepare some home cooked meals that you can put in the freezer so that you can later take out, some soups, some hearty meals, right? Some things that are going to make you feel better. Normally at this time of the month, that's when you also start to have some cravings for sugar, for junk food, for things like that. So maybe you want to kind of prepare with good foods so that your body is more, feels better during your cycle. Now, every feminine cycle is 28 days. That's the normal. There's women, however, there's a lot of women around the world that don't have this cycle, right? That maybe it's shorter, that maybe it's longer, maybe they skip periods. If that is your case, I highly, highly suggest and encourage you that you go see a doctor. And I would even recommend more to go see a holistic doctor, right? Where you can go get tested for your hormones and everything, because it's not normal. You shouldn't have longer cycles or shorter cycles. The regular cycle is 28 days, and that's how it should be. Every single part of your cycle is around 7 days, 5 to 7 days, and that's how it should be. And every month you go through this. Now, this is why they say that women are so emotional, right? It's because every month we go through a whole year, right? Usually men have more of a clock where it's a cycle, should I say, that not even a cycle, it's more linear, right? It's more linear, and it's like the 12 months and 24 hours, and that's how it goes. So that's why society, in the patriarchal society that we live in, it's more adapted to men, right? To their cycle, to their clock, internal clock, when for us, it's not the same, right? Because we have those 28 days. Now, another thing that's very interesting with your feminine cycles is that your feminine cycles are aligned with the moon, with the 28 days of the cycles of the moon. There actually used to be a time in history where women would menstruate with the new moon and would ovulate with the full moon. And this was completely normal, if I can say it like that. It was the way it was supposed to be. And the reason for this is because in our brain, we have a gland that is called the pituitary gland. And this gland, when it is exposed to the most light at night, that's when it sends hormones to your body that make you ovulate, right? That are saying, okay, it's time for you to ovulate. Now, before electricity, before we had light switch in our homes, before there was lights outside, before all of that, before electricity, the time of the month when there was the most light at night, when was it? When it was the full moon. Because besides the stars, the only thing that was lighting the night sky was the full moon. So women used to ovulate with the full moon and used to menstruate with the new moon, because menstruation, again, day 1, 13 days later, it's ovulation. Now, let me know in the comment section if you want me to do a video talking about the old rituals that used to exist, talking about also before patriarchy, how it used to be. I mean, before the Gregorian calendar that we know today of 12 months, it used to be 13 months. Right? So the number 13 for a very long time was very special, was very important, was very sacred, because we knew that there was 13 moons, in a year. And at the same time, as I said, it's on the 13th day of your cycle that you ovulate, right? So that you can get pregnant. So the number 13 was very sacred, which is why today 13 is supposed to be an unlucky number. Right? Because patriarchy said, okay, it's going to be an unlucky number, right? Because it's such a sacred number and was such a feminine number that now Friday the 13th is supposed to be bad luck. That now there's even buildings that don't have a 13th floor, right? Why? Because it used to be like that back in the day. But let me know if you want a whole video about that. There's so many other things that I could talk about. But another thing that I want you to understand about your feminine cycles is that it's very connected to the moon as well. Right? So every phase of the moon should be aligned with your cycle. The same way that every phase of your cycle is aligned with a season of the year, you should also understand this, and you should try to align yourself with the moon. And a lot of people over the past decade have asked me, how can I align myself with the moon? Like, what am I supposed to do? And I promise you, it's very simple. The only thing that you have to do is to just pay attention to the moon. Pay attention to the moon when she's in the sky. Try to always notice her. Try to see when it's the full moon, when it's the new moon. Just be aware of the moon. They call it in ancient tradition, grandmother moon, right? Be aware of her and you will see how magically, your cycle will get synced with the moon. And you'll see you'll start to ovulate with the full moon and you'll start to menstruate with the new moon. I think these feminine cycles are knowledge, wisdom that has been lost all throughout the centuries, and it's such a shame. It's such a shame because that's where we had our power. There was a time in history where women of the same village used to menstruate at the same time, right, during the new moon. And they used to go in this place that was called the Moon Lodge, also the Red Tent. So all of the women of the village would gather and go to the Red Tent, to the Moon Lodge, and they would spend 3 days there. 3 days meditating, 3 days resting, 3 days praying, 3 days taking care of one another, giving each other massages, braiding their hair. And that was a practice that was very well known and respected also. And it was respected by the elders of the village and by the men of the village. And the men and children of the village would wait for the women to come back to the village so that they could share what was the next move that they should do. Like, where should they move the tents? Or where will they find the food, for the season that is to come? Because they had this belief that women during menstruation had more psychic powers and had more intuitive powers and were able to have dreams that could predict the future, right? So it was a beautiful, beautiful wisdom, right? That people understood and something that was well respected, unlike today. I remember when I was a teenager, every month I was so scared of having my period, like, oh, I shouldn't wear white this time of the, I'm scared. When it's such a natural thing, it's not something we should hide. And I strongly believe that we should teach our daughters and granddaughters that that's a beautiful thing. Again, back in the day, there used to be initiative rites, where young girls, when they would get their period, were welcome for the first time in the Red Tent. Unlike nowadays, where usually people don't talk about, I remember my grandmother, she told me that the first time she had her period, she told her mother, and her mother slapped her. Like that for a long time, it was very taboo. It was very like hidden. It was something you wouldn't talk about when it shouldn't be like that. And I want to finish this episode by sharing, I think, something that's very beautiful about the feminine cycles. And I think that it explains a lot. So women, we know that when we're about to have our period, when we're about to menstruate, we're either sad or we're angry, right? Let me know in the comments if you are more the type of woman who's gonna get angry at everyone and you just wanna scream at everyone and you don't want to talk to no one and everyone aggravates you. Or let me know if you're the type of woman that gets very sensitive and very sad, and whatever you see or hear, you just get very like sad about it. And they say that there's actually spiritual reasons for this. So if you're the type that gets angry when you're about to have your period, it's because your spirit, your soul wants to be alone. It's asking you, please, I need time for me. Just like back in the days in matriarchal societies, when women would go away from the village, from the men, from the children, they would gather together. So it's like your spirit is saying, please, we need some alone time. Please, we need some alone time. So what your spirit is going to do, what even your mind is going to do without you even realizing it, is that you're going to become so irritable. You're going to become so angry at everyone that you're going to start fights with everyone. So you're going to be forced to be alone during your menstruation because you're not going to want to talk to no one, and no one's going to want to talk to you because you're going to be so mad at everyone and everyone's going to be mad at you, right? So that's the reason. If you feel like you get angry during that time of the month, it's your spirit telling you, please, we need to be alone for a minute. Like, let's spend time by ourselves. And if you are more the type to be sad, and you get sad and you cry for nothing, I think that this is a very cute and beautiful reason. It's because your spirit is mourning the children that you didn't have, right? Because your body, your physical body, when you ovulate, the only reason for you to ovulate every month is to the body, right? It's because you want to get pregnant. Well, the body wants to get pregnant, right? Maybe your mind doesn't want to, you don't want to, your spirit doesn't want to, but your body is ovulating every month to get impregnated, right? So when you don't get pregnant, well, your body, your physical body is mourning the children that you didn't have, right? So when you menstruate, what happens is that your eggs, let's call them like that, they're getting out of your body, right? They're kind of shedding, they're leaving your body. So it's like your spirit is sad because it's like, I didn't do my job. I had one job this month, right? For ovulating was one job, to get pregnant. I didn't get pregnant. So your body is sad. So when you're about to have your period and you're crying and you're sad and you don't even understand why, right? Sometimes as women, we're like, why am I sad? There's nothing to cry about. It's because your instincts, it's very, I guess your instincts, very almost like animal instincts, that is just sad about the fact that you didn't create life. One of the best ways to fight that, to not have that, is when you create something else, right? Because during ovulation is a time for creativity. Right? It's a time for you to create projects, ideas. The same way that you can create life within you, you can also create, right? So just create a project, create a piece of art, create something, and you're gonna see how you're gonna be less sad when that time of the month comes around. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode about your feminine cycles. It's such a beautiful thing, and it's so empowering to understand these truths, right? It's so empowering to understand how connected we are with the seasons, with the moon, with nature. It's also, I think, empowering and important to understand that you are not crazy, right? That if you're sad or mad before you menstruate, it's completely normal, right? It's your body or your spirit just trying to tell you something. So try to live a life where you respect these cycles. I think that if every woman individually, we start to take that upon us, right, in our lives, and we say, okay, I'm going to respect that, I think eventually the world will catch up. For me in my work, when I have like women that work for me, if it's that time of the month and they tell me I can't work, I don't feel good, I say no worries at all, take your time, you don't need to work, because I think that it's part of my responsibility as a woman to understand that, right? The world we live in, patriarchy, has the Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and it's not for us. It's not made for us women. That's why so many women in their lives, you know, at a certain age, especially when menopause comes around, they go through these crises in their health, in their mental health, in their physical health. Why? It's because for such a long time they suppressed those feminine cycles that are just so powerful and important and beautiful. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. If you like this episode, don't forget to like it. Don't forget to share with all of your friends. And of course, to subscribe for new episodes every single week. In the comment section, let me know what other guides would you like for me to do. I would love to read your comments, and I'll see you very soon.